CVM TV and live Jamaica Premier League action on a Monday night. A match made in heaven. We call it Monday Match Night. Catch all the heart-pounding JPL Monday night action from now until the end of the season on CVM TV's Monday Match Night. Matchday Mondays at 7:45 p.m. with rebroadcast Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Nothing else can quite match up. Monday Match Night, powered by Sunshine Snacks and ABC Electrical.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
The Queen of Dancehall, Spice, has pulled the plug on her school tour after school leaders messaged her saying that they were petitioned by leaders in the church not to accommodate her because she was the wrong messenger, bringing the wrong message to vulnerable people in Jamaica. We'll discuss the issue. Should a person like Spice, given the business that she's in, dancehall music, and people say she's a purveyor of slackness and a degrader of morals and standards, should she be used or use herself to spread the message about civility and morals and virtues and decency to vulnerable people in a society? That's the big question I'm going to discuss today on Lead Story. Come with me. Let's start the show. Right, so the Queen of Dancehall, Spice, is in Jamaica, and she had planned to do a multi-school tour across consecutive days, spreading the message about values and attitudes and how young people can use their chosen craft to better themselves, to lift themselves out of poverty. She did go to a few schools, but then she says that she received a flurry of emails from school leaders telling her that, well, you know, we're going to have to do a rain check on our your planned visit because our church leaders say that you are not fit and proper to enter the school grounds to speak to our students. That has set off a firestorm. People accusing the school leaders of being prudish and being deaf and blind to the realities that people like Spice are the Pied Pipers of modern society. Children follow them, the youth follow them, and who better to deliver the message but church leaders and those in authority in the education system say, no, we should strike a point for decency, and we ban certain music from the airwaves. So why then should the people who perform the music that we ban get direct access to our young ones inside these schools? It's a no-no, and so you have this yin and this yang. What are your views? I hope to inform your views by virtue of the quality guests I've assembled for the program today. But just what is the issue? Where has Spice gone so far, and what is the abiding message that has caused her to cancel a tour that she dubbed Oh No?
School tour, it started to aim, to restore societal values. Right. Because there's so many trends on social media that is happening, and I just feel like it would have been good, because I'm speaking in past tense because I'm going to get to the story, but it would have been good to have someone like me go in and to let the kids know that, listen, there's a difference between grace and spice. Focus on your education. It's okay to say no to anything that devalues who you are, and, just to give them that message and encourage them, because social media is taking over right now, and every day is a new trend, and these kids just feel like they need to do what is happening or what other people are singing about. So that's really what the tour was about. It was about an oh no know, to let them know that it's okay to say no and not to do everything. If I can go back and say, listen, I used to be here with, just like you, and this is what my situation was, I didn't have enough when I was coming to school, but look at me now. If I can do it, you can do it too. So I wanted to go back and encourage them. We went to the Waterford High School, the Cumberland High School, but unfortunately, even at St. Catherine High School, I donated $1 million to the performing arts because they were, saying that they needed costumes and stuff. So I was excited for them and excited for the other schools and what was to come because, I have my Grace Hamilton Foundation as well. So I was so happy to go into the school. But unfortunately, when I was on the road doing the ONO school tour, I started to get emails of school cancelling and saying they won't be able to do it. So when I start to read into the emails, they're saying that they got calls from TBC, I think it is. TBC is a church or program that is saying that they don't think I am fitting enough to go into the schools. I even have a recording that Apostle Jeffrey, I think Shuttleland or something, was on the program on TBC radio discussing it. Shuttleworth, yes. Oh, you know him, are you friend?
TBC. No, I know the station. I listen to TBC.
It was so strange to me. But I think his problem is because I took keynote and listened to him. He kept speaking on Spice and my music videos and stuff. I'm not going to the schools to show my music video or doing whatever you're speaking about that is happening with Spice, the artist, and these music video. I am going as a grown woman, successful woman, Grace Hamilton, to speak and share and to encourage the kids.
Yeah, well, our friends at CVM at Sunrise did that interview. Tammy and Iti, thank you for a job well done. After the break, Philippa Davis, Advocacy Officer, Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, will give us her perspective. So too will clinical sexologist, the lady, Dr. Karen Carpenter.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going to believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. We never make no record or beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
Right, so Philippa Davis, Advocacy Officer at Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, is with me here in studio. Online, we have Dr. Karen Carpenter, clinical sexologist, and we'll be joined as well by Stuart Jacobs. He's the president of the National Parent Teacher Association of Jamaica, the NPTAJ. Comments from him in the printed press, tough talking, and he's not compromising on his stance that Spice ought not to be exposed directly to our students in schools to give any kind of speech. Philippa, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
You're here with me in the studio. So here we have it. Spice too hot for the palate of our children seems to be the view from many. Do you share the view?
I agree. And it is true and a useful and necessary messaging to encourage our young people to reject wrong influences and not to follow bad trends on any kind of media. But the question here is, who is communicating that message, and is the communicator also living out the message? And what we see here is that it's one person we're speaking about, maybe two different personalities or personas, but Grace Hamilton is Spice. Grace Hamilton became the celebrity and the famous woman Spice, and all that Spice represents. So the question is Grace Hamilton now espousing a message that is contradictory to Spice, who she still is. And if the messages is in conflict, then you're presenting a confusing, self-contradictory message to children. And look, we know children follow more than what you tell them to do. So be consistent. And if we want to present ourselves as a role model, then walk the talk, live the message, be consistent.
But for what we know, Philippa, these children, many of them, especially those who go to St. Catherine and say, oh, see one of us there, they will continue to listen to Spice and people like Spice, continue to be motivated by Spice. Many of them will perhaps want to trod the same road that Spice did. Many of them will be motivated by Spice to excel in their chosen field while ignoring Spice's chosen field. So what's the difficulty with allowing someone who is so powerful a messenger under normal circumstances to go directly to the students?
Yes, she has power because of the platform and who she has become as a celebrity. But values still matter. And what do we want to teach our children? What do we want them to inculcate and to live out? I don't think we should think that children are going to make that split in their mind necessarily, that this is who she is off stage and then this is who she's representing on stage. It's still a one person. And that's a message we would want to communicate to anybody. Be consistent in who you say you are and how you live, because you're also going to be communicating a message from your lifestyle and your choices to someone else. So be consistent and not to confuse in your messaging.
Yeah, well, it's been upgraded from Professor Karen Carpenter now for a while. She was a doctor for a long time, upgraded now. Professor Carpenter, here's the thing. Myself and many like me grew up with dancehall music taking on a new form, and we loved Bounty Killer, and we loved Shabba Ranks, and we loved those guys who glorified violence. I can speak for myself, never picked up a gun, never picked up a knife, never went the route of the bad boy. But I was influenced by these guys. They were outstanding in their fields. I wanted to be outstanding in mine. And I could make the separation. Why do we think the youth of today, who are far more equipped and have more capacity than my generation and certain generations before me, why can't they distill between Grace Hamilton's Spice, take Grace Hamilton's good messages while avoiding the Spice route that so many of us despise?
Yes. George, I think you make a very good point there about your own upbringing. A lover of Bounty Killer, a lover of various dancehall artists and their music. But you took that message and you applied it to your life to excel in your field. I think, too, that we need to be careful, and I've been saying this for a long time. Children under the UN ages is anyone under 18, but there are different stages of childhood. So I think we have to be careful to speak about adolescence when we're speaking about high school students. And the brains of an adolescent and the emotional capacity, social capacity is different from that of an 8-year-old. So when we're speaking about these young people being able to make the distinction between the dancehall artiste and the person, Grace Hamilton, I think that we're at that stage in adolescence where we can do the hypothetical thinking. So it is possible, and I think it's actually quite important for young people who aspire to the creative arts to understand that a persona is not the person. I think it's important for them to make that distinction. Someone's stage name and stage activity is not what they do every single day of life. It is also someone who is very popular, and a message which I have in fact listened to has very good value for young people who are going to be exploratory. Adolescents are by nature experimental. So if someone they can identify with has a positive message, I think that is something that we can, in fact, uphold.
And shouldn't it help, Professor Carpenter, that Spice went into these places that she actually went to on the tour, modestly dressed, looking business-like, as she says, I'm a businesswoman on these trips. I'm a motivator. Yes. I'm not the dancehall queen in the fishnet with everything hanging out that I was, certainly at Freedom Street Cartel. Shouldn't that go, shouldn't that bleed into the consideration of having her or not?
Yeah, I think I did see her on the visit when she was in fact stopped. And I did see other opportunities where she visited. And she's always well attired in public. She's very appropriate to the occasion. On the dance hall scene, she cannot go in a double-breasted suit and a jacket. That is not what dancehall requires. And as a performing artiste, she's doing a performance. When she comes to the school, she's very well dressed and she presents adequately. And I think the message in that she has to deliver is very important. Don't follow trends that are sexual just because you're hearing about it on the internet. All of these young people are on the internet and learning more than their parents actually know. So she can be a very positive influence, as has Bounty Killer when he has come and spoken on platforms about anti-domestic violence. And I've been on such platforms speaking alongside him. So I know the power of the artist to influence adolescents positively if they take that stance.
And Philippa, before the break, those who children, adolescents hold up as heroes, when they see society telling them not to be inspired by these heroes, could that not spark the rebellious streak and a doubling down towards the kind of behavior that we're trying to steer them from?
It could, and if Miss Hamilton's message is don't follow trends that are sexual, but she is herself an example of that trend. She has made her fame and her wealth from that very trend. So is she also communicating to those young people, don't follow me in that persona? And I'm telling you, as Grace Hamilton, don't follow me in that persona. That's a conflicting message.
But Philippa,
that's confusing.
But Philippa, if you say that, remember now, she has said, and I've heard some of what she has said, and I've heard her in other places, she has said, look, what I choose is for adults and adult entertainment. I'm coming to you today as someone who chose a path, devoted myself to my craft, and I'm successful, and I'm encouraging you to devote yourself to your craft because success is within your reach as it was within my reach. That I get from her is a message. What is so wrong with that?
Yes, but if she is plying her craft with adult entertainment, it is children who are accessing that entertainment. It's not adults who are consuming it also. And that entertainment actually has a very dangerous and deceptive and distorted messaging to young people, adolescents or children. And we would want to be very careful about the messaging about sexual behavior and sexual choices to our children. It's not adults only who are consuming that content.
After the break, we'll hear from the gentleman on the panel, NPTAJ President Stuart Jacobs.
Is Jamaica's premier company for in-person or online betting in Jamaica, with more than 40 locations nationwide. Enjoy more games, more bets, and more winnings at anybet.com, with access to the widest range of products to place your bets, including football, cricket, dog racing, and a host of exciting instant games that offer some of the best odds available. Chances are there's an Anybet location near you. Must be 18 years and older. Anybet, your best bet.
We are back for season 2 of Corner Office. Back to school time. We are highlighting small businesses, hard-working Jamaicans who are doing their own thing in their own spaces. People who are in their role, bossing up their role.
Let's go!
Let's get it! It's not if you own the company or not, it's how you own the role.
I feel like I'm patient right now.
Guess what? It is your Corner Office. Season 2, bigger and better. And guess what? You don't think it's not yet? Check it out. We're the end of the place. Undercover. Easy yourself.
Spice has been courting controversy since she first emerged in the dancehall space many years ago. And even when she says, all right, she has straightened out and she adopts the Grace Hamilton persona and she's going to schools with a message of positivity, upliftment, and about the reality of goal attainment, she is getting pushback from some segments of the society who say, we don't need any goodwill or uplifting messages from you because what you do day by day to build up your stardom and your wealth is lewdness and negativity. I have with me Philippa Davis. She's advocacy officer at the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, and a sexologist is Professor I'm so used to saying Dr. Karen Carpenter. It rolls off the tongue. Professor Karen Carpenter will also have to roll off the tongue. And Stuart Jacobs is the president of the NPTAJ. Stuart Jacobs, let me quote what you're saying. You say, Spice does not have the moral authority to go into a school where young females are, or even young men are, to speak, period. She has created a platform of indecency, lewd, slack lyrics that have nothing to do with the proper development or the positive impact of a child in Jamaica. No principal or school board at any level should allow the likes of Spice in their space. Isn't this overly harsh, Stuart Jacobs, for somebody who's only trying to do good?
George, good evening to the ladies on your panel and to your listeners, and the Miss Percy, Happy New Year to all. Listen, artfully deceptive, that's what it is. Artfully deceptive. Let's look at it this way. The ethos of our education system is to teach, to educate our children, to prepare them for life outside of adolescence into productive human being in whatever sphere of life that they do. That is in a positive way. The message that Spice is bringing, although now she's attempting someone to seem different, or different from what she is known for. She's not known for her name. She's known for her artistic performances and the lyrics that she has done over the years and the reputation that she has. That's what she's known for. It's a bit difficult for us to separate that persona to what she's trying to do now to our children. How so? Children are very impressionable, and perception becomes a reality here. So for an education institution that is preparing our children for exams and so on, to confuse them with a message from someone who is tainted in a particular way, it's difficult for children to do it. And as one of the panelists stated, it is contradictory, very, because at all phases of the dance hall, there are issues that we have had to deal with over the period that the music has negatively impacted the growth and development of our society. What Spice preached and sung and recited over the years is what she is right now. If she wants to change, or if she's attempting to change, let me ask you a question now. And this is a question that the only person who can answer it is her. When she goes on a tour next week, how is she going to act? Is she going to change how she acts? Or is she go back, or is she going to give us new lyrics? No, none of those lewd, slack lyrics overnight. And when our children YouTube and research her, what is the message that is being said there? It is confusing. And I'm very disappointed that a principal, an educator would agree to it.
Hear you on that.
The ethos of some of these schools are no.
Yeah. Professor Carpenter, let me give you a chance to respond to what Stuart Jacobs has said. He's saying that the messenger can't change. She's like an atom. You can't split it. It's indivisible. You can't separate Spice from Grace Hamilton. The messenger is tainted. Hence, the message is no good.
I think we have to begin to think about things from the young person's point of view as well. And I think it would have been wonderful to hear from young people whether or not they have the hypothetical thinking, which is what happens in adolescence, because we begin to develop what we call hypothetical thinking.
Yes.
If this, then that. And consequences are part of what they begin to grapple with. Multiple alternatives are what they begin to grapple with. And therefore, if we can hear from young people what their impression of her coming in as Grace Hamilton and speaking to them is, it might be useful. I think we underestimate what it is that young people are in fact exposed to, or how they sift the information. I'm not suggesting that there aren't those who never listen to her music, don't want anything to be, don't want to be associated with her work or her music in any way. But I would also challenge us and say, if Beyonce Mrs. Carter, came and spoke in a school, which of the same people are going to forbid Beyonce in her impy skimpy costumes and her suggestive lyrics from even Lemonade?
Yes.
Who is going to stop her from speaking? Yeah. It's interesting that the people who don't consume the music are having such a vicious reaction to what this woman does as her craft.
Yeah.
It's important for us to hold more than one category in our mind at the same time and be able to make distinctions. Young people cannot choose and choose well if all we do is force them into little compartments that we want them to be into. Yeah. They have to learn discernment.
Hear you on that. Philippa?
Right. Just wanted to add to say, and you spoke about the music that you listened to when you're growing up, but the choices that you made. What were the countervailing messages in your life? Were there persons in your home, in your personal space, that said this messaging is not appropriate, but this is the element or the truth that you need to extract? Did you have other persons as a countervailing influence in your life?
For sure. And examples to follow.
Right. So do these young people also have a countervailing voice to help filter the information or the messaging that they're receiving? But parents and teachers and principals are supposed to be those gatekeepers and countervailing influences. One thing I want to say that picked up on something that Mr. Jacob said. The flyer for the tour is titled Oh No, and Spice is dressed in a schoolgirl uniform, which is what she also wore in the video, the dance video for that same song, Oh No. I looked at it and a couple things jumped at me. First of all was the adult portrayed as a schoolgirl in school uniform. Britney Spears had done a similar video years ago, also dressed in school uniform with also sexualizing lyrics and content. Listen, this has been well researched. It is a well-used messaging for pornography. Playboy has used it, and other pornography platforms have used the adult dressed as schoolgirl in school uniform, portraying children as willing sex partners. That is deceptive, that's a distorted messaging, and it is dangerous. It is grooming, it invites pedophilia, it invites incest, it invites child sexual abuse. So you have to be very careful about the messaging, and that using a schoolgirl uniform is well researched as to what it is communicating. And that is, Mr. Jacobs, a very distorted and artfully deceptive message that we would not want to encourage our children to consume. And anyone who is putting themselves forward as a role model should never be associated with that kind of distorted messaging.
But before I let Stuart Jacobs come in, Professor Carpenter, I see you wanting to respond.
I am shaking my head at the very, what we call, sweeping generalizations that are being made about the link between pornography and a dance hall artist or Britney Spears or anyone else dressed in a schoolgirl costume. This is not so. This is not research. This is not fact. And we should understand the disease of pedophilia before we speak. It is very easy to make wide and sweeping statements outside of our area of expertise, but they are not true and they're not fact.
Not true, Professor.
We're really underestimating the types of households that young people go home to and whether or not they can discuss with their parents. Those of us who have access to the media are not the only ones who have countervailing messages. And I think that that insults the Jamaican parent as well as the young person who has the ability to think and to think wisely for themselves when a positive message is being portrayed.
Hear you on that. Stuart Jacobs, let me ask you, are you reinforcing what Philippa has added to the discussion that we should lock people like Spice out of speaking directly to our children inside these halls of learning?
Lock them out, keep them out, shut them out. Our education, our schools are for learning decent behavior. It's for learning how to equip ourselves for a decent world that we're supposed to go to. My definition of decency has nothing to do with Spice.
Hear you on that.
She's nowhere there.
Hear you on that. Professor Carpenter, thank you very much.
I'm winning 'cause I work. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights on.
Are you really going to miss this? Prove you're not that guy. Every step counts. Sign up now. The time by Sagicor Sigma run is
7 o'clock.
People, we now waste no time. It is already episode 2.
So we're back on the road, episode 2. We are headed to High Holborn Street.
Me hear one pressure cooker sing. What's cooking here?
Look like the chef inside us and raise key and evening then.
There's a great story happening just in our backyard. We are on the Holy Road again.
When I see my
CVM TV and live Jamaica Premier League action on a Monday night. A match made in heaven. We call it Monday Match Night. Catch all the hard-pounding JPL Monday night action from now until the end of the season on CVM TV's Monday Match Night. Matchday Mondays at 7:45 to 5 p.m. with rebroadcast Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Nothing else can quite match up. Monday Match Night, powered by Sunshine Snacks and ABC Electrical.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got the spark, don't fit the dark. Shine your lights on.
We are back for season 2 of Corner Office.
Back to school time.
We are highlighting small businesses, hard-working Jamaicans who are doing their own thing in their own spaces. People who are in their role, bossing up their role.
Let's go!
Let's get it.
It's not if you own the company or not, it's how you own the role.
I feel like I'm patient right now.
Guess what? It is your Corner Office. Season 2, bigger and better. And guess what? You think it's not yet? Check it out. We're there in the place. Undercover. Easy yourself.
What would you do if a date asked you how much you weigh?
Ask him how much his mama weigh.
All new Family Feud.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday. Brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, teen dies after accidental gunshot in Westmoreland. Johnson Smith tackles misinformation concerns around deportations. Republic talks stalled by Privy Council debate. And in the business report, digesting deficiencies in food security and nutrition. While in sports, 48th Gibson McCook Relays launched.
At 7 Headlines Thursday. Brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
for this opportunity. For me to be a homeowner.
I was living in a terrible condition for so many years. Thank you again.
We just try to make life goes on with the little that we have.
It is the aspiration of the government. It is what the government tries to do every day to lift people out of poverty into a decent life. The new social housing program is a key component of the social safety net.
As I've always said, this is probably one of the most fulfilling programs for me because you literally see the transformation of people's lives.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7 for Thursday, January 30, 2025. Thanks so much for having joined us. I'm Nika Lewis. A schoolboy is dead in what is suspected to be an accidental shooting at his home in Westmoreland. The incident has raised urgent questions on how the child accessed the deadly weapon. As Chantae McNeil reports, the police are still in search of the weapon involved in the child's death.
A 13-year-old boy, by all accounts, just playing. Not a video game, not football with friends, as boys his age often would. Instead, he was playing with a gun. A firearm that, according to reports, accidentally discharged, ending the life of the Little London high school student in a moment of irreversible tragedy. Keshawn Watson was at his George's Plain Westmoreland home when an accidental shot to the head ended his life. The news no parent wants to hear. But as sorrow grips his family, questions linger as to how the child got a hold of the weapon. The Westmoreland police have detained several individuals as they search for answers.
The police team responded after he was taken to the hospital by residents in the area, and we revisited the scene where we discovered where the incident took place. At this particular time, we have taken a number of persons into our custody to have those persons interviewed to see how and by what means the child came in possession of an illegal weapon.
The DSP adds the weapon used is yet to be recovered. They're appealing to individuals aware of its whereabouts to turn it over to the police.
We are appealing to the members of that community and the members of that family to turn over that weapon to the police. We believe that they are aware of where the weapon is and who has access to that firearm. And as such, we are asking that they turn over that weapon to the police so that we can close out the investigation and as well as hold those who are culpable to the full extent of the law.
The officer says refusal to turn over such deadly weapons to the police may result in further tragedies, including gang uprising in the community. Meantime, Member of Parliament candidate for Central Westmoreland, Dwayne Vaz, has expressed condolences to the child's family and also sends a warning to other children.
Be careful when it comes on to firearms, because when you're not used to using a firearm, anything can happen. If you're not legally permitted to use it, you should not have it. So anybody who is playing around with these things understand the seriousness of it.
Grief counselors have reportedly provided support to students and teachers at the boys' school as investigations continue. Chantae McNeil, CVM News.
A political standoff is brewing over Jamaica's path to full independence. The opposition is once again absent from crucial constitutional talks, insisting the country shouldn't ditch the British monarchy without also cutting ties with the UK Privy Council. Is this about principle or politics? Ramon Gordon has the story.
The Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, was set up by CARICOM to serve as both a final appellate court and an international tribunal for regional trade disputes. However, as of 2024, only 4 CARICOM countries have adopted the CCJ as their highest court, while others still rely on the UK-based Privy Council. Jamaica is one of them, fueling political tensions locally and now threatening to stall talks on transitioning to a republic.
I'm not really surprised by what has unfolded, even though I was hoping to see something better. The impression that the opposition does not know the approach of the government is really not true. When we're so near to an election, we want to demonstrate to the people that we have what it takes to be entrusted with the reins of leadership.
The PNP for a second time Wednesday sat out of a crucial meeting going over a bill to change the constitution. The absences drew strong criticism from committee members, with one questioning whether the PNP caucus was flouting parliamentary procedure.
I believe that there is great confusion out there. I don't know if it is being created deliberately or otherwise, but should there be a report that goes back to the lower house and to the Senate in respect to the position that has been taken, are the persons prepared to honor what they committed to at the time when the motion was done? What is to happen?
PNP President Ramon Gordon says the opposition's absence is not a boycott, but a pause, insisting Jamaica should not remove the British monarch without also cutting ties with the UK's court.
It's a fundamentally inaccessible court. You need a visa to go to the UK as a Jamaican, and it costs millions and millions of dollars to take an appeal there, which is out of reach of most Jamaicans. The vast majority of Jamaicans cannot take an appeal to the Privy Council.
A senior Jamaican jurist at the CCJ has asserted that Jamaica has a legal obligation to adopt the regional court. However, others aren't confident the court's up to the challenge. With a referendum needed to finalize the transition, the stakes are high. But after 2 consecutive no-shows, is this really about constitutional reform or just a political maneuver ahead of an election?
It's a quarrel about something else. It's a quarrel about who is leading, the approach being taken. But who leads a government is decided after an election.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
More to come on CVM News at 7 right after this break.
The Mario Promotions in association with Magnum Tonic Wine presents It's Gary's Birthday, Saturday, February 8th at Tranquility Gardens, Duns River Park. Music by Bass and DC and Britain's legendary roots rocking reggae selector David Radigan. Admission $50 US, VIP $100 US. Gates open 5 p.m. Sponsored by Magnum, Black Brothers Construction Limited, and Party City Mandeville, Manchester. Gary's birthday celebration, February 8th, Tranquility Gardens, Duns River. You can't miss this. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
We are back for season 2 of Corner Office. Back to school time. We are highlighting small businesses, hard-working Jamaicans who are doing their own thing in their own spaces. People who are in their role, bossing up their role.
Let's go!
Let's get it! It's not if you own the company or not, it's how you own the role.
I feel like I'm patient right now.
Guess what? It is your Corner Office. Season 2, bigger and better. And guess what? You don't think it's not yet? Check it out. Put the end of the place. Undercover. Easy yourself.
Welcome back. Continuing the news, the Ministry of Agriculture has set the stage for farmers' voices to be heard all over the island as they tour the various parishes. Their first stop was in St. Catherine, where the popular Hartlands farmers operate. And these farmers did not hesitate to list their challenges. Trisha Gay Kelly has their story.
Over the years, the Hartlands farmers in St. Catherine have stood their ground,
calling for intervention relating to leased lands and proper communication from those in authority. And it seems their appeals have gained the attention of the Agriculture Ministry, which recently hosted a seminar to connect farmers to the necessary authorities. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green says the meeting highlighted key concerns for their main stakeholders, the farmers.
I don't think that there has been misunderstandings. I think there have been challenges sometimes with communication, and that is something that we continue to strengthen through the SCJ. The SCJ is the primary entity that engages with the farmers. As you would have seen, a number of farmers, 15 farmers, have already signed their lease agreement. So that means that those farmers would have felt comfortable that they would have gotten the information, but there are still an additional set of farmers that have not yet, and there are some challenges.
The farmers have been calling on the Sugar Company of Jamaica, SCJ, to grant them improved access to the lands owned by the entity. Operations Director Dominique McKnight says the SCJ maintains its commitment to the farmers.
The SCJ has spent considerable time and resources, right, in ensuring that we provide for the farmers, right, the very basic infrastructure that we can provide reasonably, right, to enable them to at least start their farming ventures.
Another challenge highlighted is the inadequate access to representatives. The latest statistics display a shocking discovery. In large parishes, one extension officer could be assigned up to 5,000 farmers. But the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, says it's working to improve service. And speaking of improvement, the minister says the agriculture sector will benefit from added financial resources this year.
We've allocated another $100 million that will be spent in the upcoming financial year to, one, finish with some of the drainage issues, one, treat some more of the road issues, land preparation issues, but also try to address some of the irrigation challenges that the farmers are having. A number of the farmers spoke about the lack of access to water. We're going to be working with the SCJ, with the National Irrigation Commission, to see if we can solve some of these problems in the upcoming financial year.
Trisha Gee Kelly, CVM News.
The Blue Lagoon Alliance in Portland are making a plea to rectify matters that have been restricting their livelihood, among other concerns. Adrian Williams tells us more in this report.
The Blue Lagoon in Portland, featured here in this James Bond film, No Time to Die in 2021, is an official national monument in the island and attracts locals and tourists from across the world. However, the Blue Lagoon Alliance are crying out to the authorities to fix an issue they say deceives the public and destroys the livelihood of those who work there.
The Blue Lagoon is one of the main attractions here, not just in Portland, in Jamaica. And this is out of operation for the past 3 years. And all my members here have their families to feed. And when the people come and they have nothing to do, it is devastating the communities in and around. And not just only in and around communities, wide and far.
The Blue Lagoon is open to persons who come, but only to swim. However, the bulk of persons are said to be disappointed at the absence of the boat tour, which has been prohibited.
This is Mr. Jerome Phillips' fishing boat also too. He applied for license here for the Blue Lagoon, and it was denied that no more, the fisheries is not giving any more license for boats at the Blue Lagoon. And this boat was licensed at the Blue Lagoon previously.
And with the issue of access, the Alliance is taking a case to the court as the parochial roadway to enter the attraction is undergoing changes, which they say is a sign it's being privatized.
Right now, a group of us as concerned people of Portland have come together to have a case in the Portland Parish Court for access, right, under the Prescription Act.
But that's not all.
We're now being forced to enter the Blue Lagoon over private property. And that is based off of a short 3-year lease, which is supposed to expire this year. So really and truly, the people of the Blue Lagoon Alliance don't know their fate. What will happen when the lease runs out?
Visitors have expressed their disappointment in the situation that has been crippling the livelihood of the staff and ruining their plans.
Made this trip
Yes.
to do a boat ride and
Nothing, yes, so disappointed, yeah?
Oh, please.
Yes,
Very
so.
disappointed.
About how much?
About 30.
About 30.
30 of us.
30 of you came all the way for your boat tour. And It's not happening here anymore. The commercial activity has been closed.
Adrian Williams for CVM News.
Well, Jamaicans may soon see a major change in the foods they consume as the government moves forward with long-awaited nutrition policies. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton gave the latest updates on the island's health policies at a Heart Health media launch recently.
Jamaicans could soon see trans fat completely eliminated from their food. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, speaking at the Heart Month 2025 media launch at the Heart Foundation of Jamaica on Tuesday, confirmed that the long overdue policy has already been approved.
This is now a combined effort between health and industry, investment and commerce. That one is working its way between both ministries to become a cabinet submission for consideration, but we have agreed on a framework that over time will phase out trans fats out of our food systems. That is long overdue, to be totally frank, because cardiovascular disease, affairs of the heart, have been impacted very negatively by trans fats in our food system.
With heart disease still the island's leading cause of death, consultant cardiologist Dr. Andreen Chong urges Jamaicans to take charge of their health, but she stresses that while personal choices matter, government action on nutrition policies is essential in the fight against heart disease.
Governments must introduce and adhere to policies such as the long-awaited schools nutrition policy, which provide their citizens with healthy choices for diets, reduce the influx of ultra-processed foods, support farmers who will provide natural whole foods at an affordable cost, limit the sale of ultra-processed unhealthy foods to children, and maintain a safe space in schools for children to consume healthy diets.
The good news, according to Dr. Tufton, is that the school nutrition policy aimed at improving the overall health and well-being of Jamaican children has already been signed off on.
I'm happy to report that in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and Health, that policy is now working its way to cabinet, meaning the minister and I have signed off on it, and we anticipate a cabinet conversation hopefully in the next weeks, assuming nothing untoward, which I don't expect because the cabinet is equally concerned, then that policy will become a reality soon.
While policy changes set the foundation for a healthier nation, Dr. Tufton warns that enforcement and public advocacy will be just as critical in making these measures truly effective. Chantae McNeil, CVM News.
Stay with us for so much more after this break.
Your country is an election day worker? Apply at your nearest EOJ constituency office. Bring your valid ID and TRN. Together, we can ensure free and fair elections.
At Hypro, farming is in our DNA, so we know the value of all you do. Whether you're an experienced farmer, the farmer just starting out, or the farmer looking to shake things up, we are here to support you at every step, providing high-quality feeds, chicks, farm supplies, and technical support whenever you need. From chickens to livestock to crops, choose Hypro. Let's get it done together.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music hits I play, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Welcome back. It's now time for the Business Report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to share with you in the Business Report today as we digest the findings of Latin America and the Caribbean Regional Overview of Food Security and Nutrition 2024 report published on January 27. In summary, Latin America and the Caribbean have seen a decline in hunger and food insecurity for 2 years, driven by social protection programs and post-COVID recovery. However, disparities persist, especially among women, rural populations and vulnerable groups. The region is unlikely to meet most nutrition targets and healthy diets remain expensive. Dr. Yarbas Barbosa, director of PAHO, spoke more directly to the challenges affecting the region.
In the Caribbean in 2022, 50% of the population was unable to have access to a healthy diet. And we see that not so healthy, ultra-processed food tends to, has been growing. And we see that this is something supported by a very aggressive market. Inequality, social inequalities and poverty continue to have an impact on access to nutritious food and healthy food. Now, and they contribute to higher mortality rate and early death rate. Now, in order to address these challenges, we need to have comprehensive health-related policies that include social protection and that transform food systems.
Many countries within the region, particularly those in the Caribbean, rely heavily on imported food to meet their needs. This high dependence on external food sources makes these countries especially vulnerable to disruptions in global food supply chains caused by climate extremes in other regions. Among the factors that led to food inflation, according to Rossana Palastri, the regional director for the Latin America and the Caribbean division of the International Fund for Agricultural Development.
In terms of inflation, if we want to reduce the price of food, especially nutritional food, it's important to invest on improving the productivity of fruit, vegetables, and this will reduce the price to the final consumer and will promote more healthy diets. The direct relationship between the production of commodities and inflation of that affecting food in general is something we cannot determine in a linear fashion.
The percentage of people unable to afford a healthy diet in the Caribbean increased by 0.5%. However, a closer look at Jamaica shows that it is among the lowest percentile at 22.1%, compared to 83.6% in Haiti and 40% in Trinidad and Tobago. Though the cost of a healthy diet in US dollars per person per day between 2017 and 2022 in Jamaica has reportedly risen from $4.94 to $6.44.
There's still a large number of people who suffer food insecurity, and it is quite significant. In 2023, 58.8% of the Caribbean had food insecurity, and it was twice as much as Latin America. In the previous year, we also see that the food security in rural areas was higher than in urban areas, as well as being higher in women than in men.
Leo Nederven, regional advisor on food, nutrition and physical activity at PAHO, spoke to the challenges in maintaining a balanced diet.
We have seen that ultra-processed food products have grown everywhere as a result of aggressive marketing, and we know that they're available everywhere at a low cost. So this is something of considerable concern and has an impact on unhealthy diets. In Latin America, we have the highest regional cost of securing a healthy diet. And so a healthy diet is very important because that allows us to prevent all types of malnutrition caused by deficits as well as excesses.
According to Maria Dolores Castro, regional director of the World Food Programme, the Caribbean is showing largely positive signs relative to global trends.
We have good news. We've seen that people who suffer food insecurity in Latin America and the Caribbean are below the global average. It's almost 20 million people that are no longer suffering food insecurity, and this is all thanks to the economic recovery of the governments that are moving towards solutions and trying to address food security and nutrition in a multi-sectorial manner.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
CVM News at 7 continues in a moment. Stay with us.
Anything for the taste of a KFC, big deal. The time by KFC is
7:30.
Thanks to my Prime Minister for this opportunity. For me, to be a homeholder,
was living in a terrible condition for so many years. Thank you again.
we just try to make life go on with the little that we have.
It is the aspiration of the government. It is what the government tries to do every day to lift people out of poverty into a decent life. The new social housing program is a key component of the social safety net.
As I've always said, this is probably one of the most fulfilling programs for me because you literally see the transformation of people's lives.
Need to pass your CSET CAPE exams to get that dream job or to qualify for university? Then Distinction College is the school for you. We have locations in Kingston, Spanish Town, St. Elizabeth and Ocho Rios. Start day, evening and Saturday classes this coming term and sit CSET CAPE exams for January's resit or May-June. Maths, law, science, English. We have the lowest school fees. Register before the end of the month and win an entire term free. Call us at 354-8560.
Welcome back. Here's what's happening on the social media landscape.
So what's trending in our local social media spaces? Jamaica's government has signaled its intention to make Portmore the country's 15th parish ahead of the general election due by September, despite objections from the opposition. Here are some of your reactions. At Jolette Coley writes, at this point, what Portmore needs is a public hospital, a modern public market, and fixing the roads. Residents are not concerned with its credentials. At Marlo_details comments, waste of time. At Juliet Cuthbert adds, as a Caribbean Estates resident of Portmore, where 983 homes are located, I note that none of the property taxpayers were permitted to vote in the mayoral election. This is unacceptable. As a taxpayer, I welcome Portmore's elevation to parish status. At All News JA posts, laugh out loud. Everybody was all for Portmore to become a parish. What's the problem now? At Zimi66 says, so many maps, textbooks will need to change. Business residential addresses will need to change. So many will switch from being in the parish of St. Catherine to being in the parish of Portmore. At Terry Long 2016 shares, historic move to make Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish. Taxpayers of Portmore deserve autonomy from St. Catherine. And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and CVM Television on Facebook. I'm Trisha Gay Kelly.
It's now time for regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. A document listing 202 St. Lucians for deportation from the US has been making rounds on social media, but its authenticity remains unverified. The St. Lucian Consulate in New York says it has not received the document from the US State Department. Meanwhile, the CARICOM Consulate Corps is set to hold an emergency meeting to discuss the Trump administration's new immigration policies. DBS Television provides the details.
A document has been circulating on social media of a list of countries and the number of its citizens to be deported by the United States of America. This list indicates 202 St. Lucian citizens will be deported. The DBS News World made attempts to verify